Welcome to the Limitless Leaders Podcast. This is a show where my guests and I explore and expand on all things mindset, leadership, and communication. On the show, I interview inspiring leaders, business owners, and entrepreneurs from all walks of life, where they share their stories, experiences, and lessons. This is a podcast for you if you're looking to learn, grow, and accelerate your life, career, and who you are. Hi there, and welcome to the Limitless Leaders Podcast. I'm the founder and CEO of RG Dynamics, and excited to say we've been releasing podcasts for nearly 5 years now, where I do some solo shows like I'm going to do today, and we also interview amazing authors, CEOs, business owners, and people from all walks of life. Today, I wanted to chime in on something I'm calling going from burnout to brilliance. And I'm going to share 5 strategies that will help you whether you're in a leadership position or any role. I've just come through 12 months of cancer treatment, and those that follow me know I've worked all the way through. My work is a big part of my purpose on this earth, and I really believe when we have a strong purpose, or what I call a why to fly, and contribute to others, it helps keep us out of our head. I want to say thank you because there's been so many check-ins, gifts, phone calls, messages, and I'm doing well. Physically, I've got a lot of side effects, which is really common when you've had chemo and other treatments and radiation. But at the end of the day, I'm actually going really, really well and mentally really fit, which is great. So I want to talk about going from burnout to brilliance today. And the reason is, and I probably don't have to tell you, our world has changed. We've got AI coming from every direction, which can be used for good, but it's almost overwhelming. And especially those out there, you do need to upskill in it. I heard the other day, a bot won't replace your job, but someone with AI experience will. So use it to do the mundane tasks so that you can really focus on your people if you're in a leadership role, and bring more connection back to yourself and to others. There was a recent Bupa survey done on saying that 75% of Australian workers were experiencing burnout. Let that sink in. 75% of Australian workers are experiencing burnout. And across the globe, it's about 82%. So people say to me, what is burnout? And I'm a big believer, a bit like success. Success means something different to everybody. So does burnout. But for me, I think burnout is not just the occasional tiredness or feeling flat. It's a real mixture of feeling physically exhausted, mentally exhausted, emotionally exhausted, sometimes socially exhausted, so you can't even connect with others, don't like being around a lot of people. And also you can be depleted spiritually. And those that know me, spirituality means something different to everyone. But for me, it's about nurturing yourself, your values, and your vision and your mission. So we call that 5D energy. And when those 5 areas of us are exhausted or depleted, that to me can be burnout. Even one of those areas can lead to burnout. We know, it's pretty straightforward, but at a leadership level, burnout can be particularly damaging. Leaders set the scene. We know that. People emulate leaders. You're in a position, I believe, of honor and privilege to have responsibility in the way you lead. So I want to talk today about if you are leading a team or a business, or if you're not leading, you're a leader yourself, what strategies can you put in place that are practical, easy to follow, that will help you to connect more deeply to yourself, but when others are watching, will give them a bit of a template, or, you being a role model for that. So I always ask the question with a lot of my clients, and we work with thousands of leaders and teams in all industries. And this burnout I'm seeing is across all. Restructures make people feel uncertain. Certainty is a core human need. Less people doing more. I mentioned AI, lack of role clarity, what's going on in the world economically. And then obviously you've got your life. So all of these things can contribute to that and weigh it down. So I'd love you just to have a think about, whether you're watching this or listening. If you were to rate your energy 1 to 5, where would it sit? So 5 is you're energetic physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, socially. 1 is you probably can't even get out of bed. So think about what that number is for you. If it's not a 5, when was it a 5? So if you say to yourself, it was 2 years ago when I was leading a team and I wasn't flying, whatever it may be, ask yourself, what was I doing? What was I seeing? Who was I being? And bring more of that back in. Anything we've done or anything we've felt, we can do again. But it comes back to self-awareness. And I talk about this a lot. We can't do any behavior unless we're self-aware. And self-awareness is like the foundation of a house. If it's not stable and strong, that house will not last the test of time. It will fall down. And awareness is a bit the same. If you're like me and you move at a pretty fast pace, just make the time, whether it's 10 minutes a day, to reflect on the progress you've made at work and out of work, be in gratitude, know what you love doing, what lights you up. Those sorts of things help you to connect more deeply. And then you will know, am I heading towards burnout? Have I just got too much on? Or for those of you listening that are lucky enough to be at a 5 out of 5, how can I sustain that? Because we know any behavior we have is obtainable. The gift is making it sustainable. So, for me now, and I'm very, very, people know me, very open and honest, I'm probably a 4 out of 5 energetically across the board. Got a lot of side effects from treatment, got catching up a lot, all of a sudden I'm flying and back in rooms and out socially again. So for me, I've created a boundary around only going to a work or social event twice a week at night. Because like many of you, I could be out every night. There's something on every night. But really looking at the communities I'm in and really asking myself, are they the right communities for where I am now, and where do I want to focus that energy? So I'm going to head into the 5 key strategies to go from burnout to brilliance. So the first one is to really normalize mental health conversations. Now, what I mean by this is, as a leader, make sure you're noticing, and it's high emotional intelligence, notice if people aren't themselves and check in on them. Now, you can go down the track of, are you okay? Those sorts of things. But I'm a believer that if you're coaching and mentoring and making that best practice, you will know straight away if someone is not their true, authentic self. And it might be, notice you're feeling a bit, notice you're running around a bit, you're a bit flustered. What do you need? What do you need is a great question, because do you need help is a closed question, and most people will say no. But what do you need? And people open up. And I've done this with teams. Just that question has changed the dynamic of the team. So make sure you're doing that, and know what it looks like. So sometimes you will have to refer them to someone outside or HR or whoever it is for them. But half the time, just knowing you've got someone to lean in on who's got your back and who notices you're not pure you, can be enough. So really important, lean into your support networks. And if you're a leader listening to this, check in on your people. And a great way to check in, I call them stay interviews, is, what's stretching you at the moment? What are you loving about your role? What could be better in your role? Instead of waiting till performance reviews. Guys, performance reviews are like getting petrol on a journey. You might get it once or twice, but the talking in the car is constant. So it's a little bit like just keep checking in with people. If you're time poor, which a lot of people are, we're talking a 10-minute conversation or a coffee. And those of you that are utilizing AI, I ask you, what time are you getting back? Work out what that is, and then ask yourself, how can I use that time to bring back the human touch and connect more with my team and those around me? The second strategy is really practicing sustainable habits. And as a leader, you need to set the tone to do this. So sustainable habits could be have lunch. If your team see you working through lunch or not having lunch, they can sometimes think that's the norm, and we know it's not. Have boundaries around your working hours. Something that's taken me 19 years in business to realize is we never finish anything in a day. And I think, if I look back, I've probably had what I call closure addiction. Anything I'm working on, I want to get it done quite efficient and effectively, but to the cost of what? So set some really, really good habits. Some clients I'm working with have meeting-free days. So one day a week, there's no Zooms and no meetings so that people can actually think straight and do the deep work in an effective manner. The other one is, I call it design for well-being. So, ad hoc cupcakes, yoga sessions on Are You OK Day, they're not sustainable. They come from a good place of intention, but they're not sustainable. You're better off bringing in small habits that you can work through. So workload balance, make sure your people know their roles. I don't know how often I get to people and I look at their position description, their PD, and it's nothing like what they're doing. So it's a good process to go through your PD, especially coming up to June, and go, what am I doing? What are my team doing? Are these correct? If they left tomorrow, is that PD accurate? And it can help you really organise and get a bit of a balance with workload. A recent client of mine, when they finish big projects, they get half a day, what they call recovery time. So if they're working international hours, we're doing a lot of that at the moment. It's quite exhausting. They're just buffering some time for people to really just recover, celebrate success before they move on. So it's a bit of a reset, and I think that's really, really important. The third one is adopt a gift mindset. And, you all know I've written an award-winning book on this concept, or this mindset, that I've lived with since I was 22, which is roughly 30 years ago. So being able to stop and look at the gifts or the lessons in our challenges and successes. So we keep moving, and I'm as guilty as charged. I've overcome cancer, which is massive. And people are like, have you celebrated? And I've sort of jumped back on the treadmill and done even more than I normally do. So I've just booked a week overseas at the end of May as a drop and flop with my husband. No plans, which isn't like me. And just to reset, refocus, and feel re-energized coming back. So I would get your teams together and just say, what gift have you learnt from a challenge? And get them to share it. This not only helps the person really understand what they've learnt, but it could be a survival guide for others in your team. And I think that's really, really important. And what can you learn from the experience? So I know I go on about it a bit, but create win Wednesdays. create Failure Fridays or whatever you want to call them. But it's just creating a forum where people can share what they've done, but also how they've done it. Remember the how. If anyone ever says, oh, Renee, I did this, I'll go, how did you do it? What did you learn? And that way you're replicating success across your team. The fourth one is our response. Preventing and addressing burnout comes from us responding to it and having that approach. Invest in skills for energy management. Really, really important. Now, everybody's different. I do walking meditation. I find it hard to be still. I have friends that do 2 hours meditation before a work day. Find out what it is for you and your team. And gratitude, the gift of gratitude, is a great way to bring mindfulness and energy management in. So even kicking off a meeting, and I run a workshop this morning already, and we kicked it off, who or what are you grateful for? And what this does, everyone has got to respond. And people come out with things like, oh, Michael, thank you so much for sending me that report early last week. I actually got this done and this was very effective. Things you wouldn't say normally to people, especially hybrid work's here to stay. We're not always in the corridors or the water cooler or whatever you want to call it. So I think that's really important. Time block things, have some meeting-free days. Have a day where you're all in the office, so it's a crossover day. I've had people ring me and go, I had to be in the office today and there's no one even here. So do things with intentionality, not just for the sake of it. You want to create what we call emotional regulation, and that's really allowing people to stop and share things. So bottom line's important. We all know that we've got to put people before process, before progress. Because if you focus on process and an outcome, but you're not investing in the people around you and yourself, nothing's going to happen. It all starts with the people, and culture is about people's shared beliefs and values and working as one. So it's really, really important that you're doing that. And understand burnout, understand what it is. If you've never been through it or worked with anyone that's been through it, educate yourself on it, because, I think it's different for everybody. And I will admit, some people say, oh, Renee, I'm really flat, I'm depressed. And I'm like, well, you're probably not depressed, you're probably flat. What's going on? So, know what it is, know people's norm so that you know when they may not be energized. And, there's so many resources out there, but remember, it starts with you. If you're the burnt out leader, not having lunch, working 15 hours a day, what message are you sending to your team and I guess the future leaders in your organization? So, people go, where do I start with this? Well, at the start. So it's up to you. I'd get my team together, or in your one-on-one, say we're almost mid-year. How are you tracking? How's your energy? What do you need help with? Before you go into the whole KPI, KRA compliance type performance proposal. The human touch as a leader and, emotional skills have never been more important. Sending emails, using ChatGPT, whatever you use, don't forget you're a person dealing with people. And, I'm the first one to tell if I get an AI generated anything. Not saying don't use it, but shape your voice and your message into it. And that helps build trust with your team. And then obviously when we trust, what happens? We connect and we open up even more. So organizations, I believe, that invest in well-being don't just mitigate the risk. They unlock higher engagement, stronger loyalty, and greater connection, which leads to greater performance at the end of the day. So think about normalizing your conversations and habits, creating a gift mindset, investing in little activities that help really boost energy management. And I can almost promise you, people won't just be surviving, they'll be thriving. It'll make your job easier and everyone will be a lot happier. So I've given you quite a few tips there and they'll be in the show notes. Reach out if you'd like us to come in. We're running 2-hour Who's Looking After the Leader sessions where we can do it as a town hall or a team where we go through, this is just the tip of the iceberg, these strategies and a lot more to bring into your life, because we've got to bring our whole selves to life. Work-life balance, don't really believe in it. It's about work-life integration. What small habits and mindsets and rituals can you and your team bring in to have sustainable success? Reach out if you have any questions. Please share this podcast if you feel others will benefit. And get in touch if you'd like to look at any of our gift mindset culture programs, which are all about emotional skills and EQ, or our Limitless Leadership Pathway that includes all the tools and enablers for cohorts of leaders and teams to lead with deep communication and I guess cut through leadership. Love your thoughts on what you've got out of today's podcast. And as always, if you'd like to be on our podcast, please register your interest at admin@reneegiarrusso.com. We're always looking for very diverse guests so that we can give our listeners and viewers, a sort of multifaceted resource. So take care out there, wherever you're listening or watching from. Have an amazing day or night, and we will catch you on our next Limitless Leaders podcast. Thank you for listening to the Limitless Leaders podcast. So you don't miss an episode, make sure you follow the show in your favorite podcast app. Feel free to share this podcast with your family, friends, and work colleagues. If you're enjoying the show, find out more on what we do at RG Dynamics at www.reneegiarrusso.com. Until next time, be limitless.